Long time no freaking see. I'm finally on this channel. I haven't been on here in like 2 weeks. Hopefully the hopefully the Wi-Fi and everything is good. Because I wanted to be outside. So hopefully it isn't too noisy. If it's too noisy, just let me know and I'll go back inside. I just wanted to be outside in nature. Okay. I know I haven't been on here in a while, but we're just gonna get right into it, okay? Also, I'm very relaxed because I just took a spiritual bath before I got on here, so I feel very light. I do. I feel very light. I feel like I got all of that negative energy that was on me. I'm trying to get back in the habit of taking these spiritual baths once a week to kind of reset my energy and allow me to feel lighter. And the spiritual baths aren't anything fancy. Okay. It's just Epsom salt, some Himalayan salt. I put some Van oil in there, and then I put a black tourmaline crystal in my water, and I sat in there for 20 minutes, played some frequency, some chakra frequency music, and just chilled in there for 20 minutes. But the spiritual baths are essentially so energy is all around us. Okay, every single thing, people are energy, objects are energy is carried all around us. And so essentially, you're taking in all of this energy on a daily basis. And so sometimes what you don't realize is that you're not really aware of like what energy you might be taking in. And when you, especially if you're in a state of ascension, so when you are in a state of growing, okay, there are people that are going to try to put like negative things on you, okay, jealousy, envy, things like that. There are always going to be people that are trying to put those things on you, and so you want to make sure that you are protected, and you want to make sure that you are removing those energies from yourself. And so yeah, essentially, spiritual bath, like I said, Himalayan salt, Epsom salt. Um, I use Van oil. Maybe I'll do something on here where I teach you all how to make Van oil, but I'm sure you could order it on Etsy. It's like a classic like hoodoo oil that's like really good. It's like a concoction of like different things that it does. Like it's good for like protection. It's a road opener. It's like a spiritual neutralizer. So you can order some Van oil, and then I put a black tourmaline crystal in there. So any crystal that's like water safe, that's good for protection. I like black tourmaline a lot, so that's the crystal that I use. If you do not have a bathtub, you can just use yeah, you can use rose water. If you don't have a bathtub, you could use sage for yourself. So just like sage around. If you want, you could just take some pink Himalayan salt and you could just use it in the bathtub with you and kind of just like use it as an exfoliant if you would like. You could also like get any type of herbs that are really good for like for protection. You could also add those to the water. As long as you just have some medium to be able to like sit in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's like water or you're using like a smudge stick or like a sage. That's a form as well. I already explained how you do a spiritual bath. I said it twice already. So just watch the video from the beginning. So let's go ahead and get into what we're talking about today. Okay, so we are going to be talking about the universal laws. Okay, the 12 universal laws. If you're like religious, it's kind of like the 10 commandments in a way, but like the 12 universal laws are really just they're rooted in things that like, how do I explain it? There are things that are rooted in not so much as them being like rules or like anything being rooted in morality. It's just taken into account like what the universe does and how you can use this for your own life, and it makes your life a lot easier. Um, because they all make sense. Okay, the universal laws all make sense, and this is really really good, something to listen to and kind of understand, because this understanding the 12 universal laws really can help you in your journey of spiritual ascension. Even with all the witchy things that like that we are doing here on the channel and that like I'm teaching you all to do, you also want to make sure that in your everyday life you are aware of the 12 universal laws and you are implementing what these laws are, contributing to your personal life and kind of where you are in your spiritual journey. You know what I mean? Because that's how you're able to like, if you do start doing like spell work and things like that, that's how you are able to like do spell work confidently. You know what I mean? That is how you're able to have a lot of confidence behind like your intentions, your manifestations and things like that. This is kind of like the gatekeeper of, you know, how far you really can go in your spiritual journey when you're using these 12 universal laws. All right. So we're going to get started. Okay. So the first law. All right. So the first law is the law of divine oneness. Okay. And essentially what this law means is that everything and everyone is connected. Okay. Here in the physical world, they have essentially created this system where you have a belief system where everyone is separate. So we're separated by race, we're separated by class, we're separated by different countries, we're separated by our political system. They have created all of these forms of separatism when in reality, that's not true. That's not real. Okay. You are connected to a person, you're connected to a place, you're connected to a thing in some way. And the reason being is because, you know, before you were here, you were here. And then before they were here, you were here, right? You've been coming back, and then the person that you know, they've been coming back, and then the space that we inhabit, all of this space has been here before, right? So you know your past self, you know, before you reincarnated, your past self has already met the person, has already met that person that like you may not like or anything like that, you know, and it just keeps going further and further and further back. So there's not anything that's like separate outside of you. Like at some point over all of the versions of lives that you've lived and that we've all lived, you've touched a place, you've touched a person, you've seen a person, you're connected to everybody in some way. And so essentially, um you have to understand like unity consciousness, right? And kind of like meditate on unity consciousness, like a big thing with like, and also when I talk about these universal laws, like I can't talk about universal laws without bringing up like what they do in like the physical world. And like by they, I mean like the government, the IRS, like all of these like establishments that are created. You know what I mean? You have to talk about both of them. So, you know, essentially, things are always done purposely to reduce your level of consciousness, right? Like the water that you drink, the food that you eat, the media that you take in. These are things that are done on purpose to reduce your consciousness. Okay. So the biggest thing is to always like meditate on unity consciousness, and, you know, always make sure that like, you know, understand that deep down, like with people that may not like agree with you, or they're at some point they had some form of consciousness before they created all this stuff with the physical world to kind of like make people not be so conscious with like their thinking and things making sense and things like that. So then another thing too is like, you know, when you heal the collective. Okay. So, you know, just you deciding like, you know, you deciding like, okay, I'm not going to see everyone as so separate. I'm really going to try my best to like see us as like one in some way, that we are all connected at some root. That's essentially what that means. Okay. Number two, the law of vibration. Okay. Every single thing vibrates. Okay. Because everything is energy, because energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. So there is always in a vibration behind the energy that you carry, and essentially behind that vibration is a frequency. Okay. A frequency that you vibrate at, and then that frequency is what is going to mirror your reality. Okay. So like what I like to do, and you can look it up. So like they have like 432 hertz, and like that's considered like the love, like the love sound, right? Then they have like 528 hertz. They have 963 hertz, and you could literally go on YouTube and you could type in like love frequency or acceptance frequency, or if you want to like heal your chakras, there's different frequencies that you can use. I like to listen to them at night, and they make them really nice. Like they have it like as a dark screen for you, and you could just, you know, go to sleep to them if you want. And because everything is energy, like your thoughts are carrying a vibration behind them. The food that you're eating is carrying a vibration. That's why they call, like, when you're picking out for Christmas and for Thanksgiving, you're having like your soul food, or having your food that's like fried and stuff like that. Yeah, that's why they call it low vibrational food. You ever heard that term, low vibrational food? Yeah, it's low vibrational food because that food is really making you heavy, right? That food is like not only physically making you heavy, but like it energetically is making you heavy too. This is why sometimes like people, when they're like really, really spiritual, they will like fast, right? Because essentially, like when you're fasting, you're opening yourself up to vibrate higher because you are not only physically, but you are also like mentally lighter, spiritually lighter, like I feel super light even after that bath, because of the energy that salt and all of those things that I had in like the bath, like what that was vibrating at, right? And so essentially, you want to feel your way to the next level through your ascension. You don't want to just think it, right? Your environment also makes a big difference with, where you're vibrating at. And so essentially, like, that's why they call it your vibe. You have a good vibe. When people are saying you have a good vibe, that means you're vibrating at a high frequency. That's what that means. Good vibes, high vibration, right? Okay, the third law is the law of correspondence. Okay, this is, in my opinion, the most important one. All right, in my opinion, this is the most important one. And the law of correspondence is as within, so without, as above, so below. So essentially, what that means is that everything that is outside of you is inside of you. Okay. So, what is happening in your outer world that is mirroring your inner state, right? And this could be something on like such a small scale that like you're not even conscious of it. Like, for instance, like I always like to say, like, cluttered house is a cluttered mind, because like that's pretty much as within, as within, so without, as above, so below. Because if your home is cluttered, well, your home is where you sleep. Your home is where you prepare your meals at. Your home is where you prepare yourself at for you to go to go out into the world, and to go out, as like a civilian, as a human on your, daily path, I guess you could call it. And so essentially, if your home is cluttered and this is your living space, well, then that means that when you're living in your head, that's going to be cluttered too. Okay. Also, the thing that you're yearning for, the thing that you really want, well, the thing that you're yearning for, that you want, you already have it inside of you, right? So in order for you to shift your outside, you need to heal your inside, because the life that you're living right now, the experiences that you are having right now, it is, what is in front of you is a reflection of your subconscious. Okay, your external life is your subconscious on display. Okay, so like even the things that you're triggered by, essentially your triggers are portals. Okay, use your triggers to go inward and get down to the root of that, and figure out what is it within you that is manifesting outwardly in you. Okay, so that's definitely my favorite one, just because I feel as though, like, I feel like once you live out the law of correspondence and you take it seriously on a deeper level, you will really, really ascend high. You will really, really ascend high, because I mean, that's like the highest level of self-awareness that you can have when you practice the law of correspondence, right? Number four, everyone knows this one, the law of attraction. Okay, so essentially that, like attracts like. Okay, so your thoughts, your emotions, are essentially a magnet. Okay, and I know a lot of people like to use the law of attraction for, love and things like that. And I guess on a deeper level, when I do like really think about it, I guess like as I'm thinking about it now, I do feel as though, yes, even with law of attraction, like even with love, I mean, like it does make sense, because the thing about it is that as you ascend higher, most people are not doing the work to ascend high. Okay, most people are not doing all of that because it's hard. It's hard. it is something that you have to be very conscious and aware, and it's something that you have to really do on a daily basis, and you have to put yourself in a lot of uncomfortable circumstances to be able to actually ascend. It's not easy, and so most people are not willing to do that. I think a lot of people like to mix up law of attraction with, I think a lot of people think of law of attraction and they think of it as they should be reciprocated, or they should be entitled to receive something because the work that they're putting in, and that's not how the universe works. Okay, you may think you're putting in the work, okay, but you don't get to be the final decider of that. The universe gets to be the final decider out of that. And whenever the universe says, okay, you're doing enough work, and you're ready, you're prepared, well, this is what I will grant you with. So the thing about it is that as people think in, like, especially social media, they've like perpetuated this thing where it's like, if you do all of the things correct, you do every single thing right, then you're going to get your person, or then you're going to get your job opportunity or thing. And that's just not how life works. Okay. That's not how life works. In most cases, a person that when you're really, really ascending, you're not going to get someone right away, because you have to think it's not a lot of people amongst us that are, really, really, truly doing the work to ascend. Okay. So please don't think that like it's just going to be some instant gratification thing where it's like, I'm doing the work, I'm ascending, I deserve this now, or I deserve this person. That's not how it works. Okay. So essentially, when it comes to like your daily visualization, right? Seeing yourself already living in your highest timeline to be able to attract that thing. And then also when you're speaking affirmations, like your affirmations, like they need to carry energy. Like you need to say them with conviction. Like even if it's something and you don't even believe that it's possible, you don't even believe that it's something that could happen, your affirmations, they must carry energy. You just can't just say the words and be monotone and like, not have any like to the belief system with what you're saying, right? And also with law of attraction, another thing is that, like, I talked about this on the video when I was talking about like quantum leaping, which essentially I was saying like the biggest thing with that is that like stay in the feeling of having, okay, not wanting. Okay, like you don't want to get rich, you're already wealthy, right? You don't want to find love, you are love, right? It's already in. So like the law of attraction, like the reason why I like the law of correspondence is because I feel as though the law of correspondence, like, that is the one law that kind of ties into everything else, right? Because if you already know that you're wealthy and you're already saying, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, that is going to reflect back and you are going to have wealth. You may have wealth in terms of money. You may have wealth in terms of connections. You may have wealth in terms of people to rely on. You may have wealth in multiple, forms, right? So that's for law of attraction. So then number 5 is law of inspired action. Okay. So essentially, so this is like bridging the gap between manifestation, right? This is why it's so important for you to know all 12 laws, because social media ruins everything. And like, so all most people know is like manifesting and then like the law of attraction. Okay. Law of inspired action is like the gap that you have to bridge when it comes to your manifestation, because faith is a worker. You know what I mean? Like that's in the Bible. You have to take aligned action. Your aligned action is what's going to bridge the spiritual plus your physical words. Manifestation is just simply you speaking, right? It's like a prayer. That's all what manifestation is. You must take inspired action behind the thing that you want to manifest, right? So, if you want to manifest, that you want to be a millionaire, you have what it takes to be a millionaire. You are a millionaire. You have a millionaire mindset. Okay, what is the next right aligned step to take? What step are you going to take to get closer to that goal? Because manifestation needs momentum. The universe moves when you are moving. The universe will not take any action until you take action. And so, as long as you are taking an intentional action to get closer to what it is that you are trying to manifest, and you keep doing that repeatedly, even when you're scared, even when you have a fear of failing, even if you don't know if it's going to work out, you always must take the level of inspired action. That's very, very important. Okay, so number 6. Um, law of the transmutation of energy. Okay. I said it earlier. Energy is always moving. Okay. You can take any state of energy and you can change it. So like there are people that take anger, right? There are people that take guilt, there are people that take shame, and they take those very uncomfortable emotions and feelings in that like very low vibe energy, and they transmute it into something bigger, right? They transmute it into something like musical artists will do this, people. It will correlate into movies, it will transpire into movies, it will turn into music, it will turn into dance, it will turn into poetry. That's what it looks like when you are transmuting energy. You are taking a form of energy and you are turning it into something else, because like I said before, energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can only be transformed. So when something bad happens to you don't have to just sit with something bad happening to you. You literally could take something bad that has happened to you and you can transmute that energy into something beautiful. So this is why, like, people that are victims, they might be victims of like SA or things like that. Okay, well, they will transmute that energy and like they will speak on their story. And then that will turn into them like becoming a motivational speaker. And then that will turn into them, creating a nonprofit for, victims of SA. So that's how that's how it looks in real life when you are taking energy and you are transmuting it, right? You're turning it into something else that can bless the collective, that can help the collective, right? So turning your pain into purpose, right? Turning your fear into fuel, okay? And then once again, right, speak affirmations that are going to shift your state immediately. That's another way that you can transmute energy. You're right. Speaking affirmations and having affirmations that are going to change your mindset, right? Whenever you start to become very conscious of your thoughts, because I think it's like 70% of your thoughts are repeating thoughts. So most people are having the same thoughts in their head, but majority of those thoughts are negative. So when you're actually living in your head and you're thinking about what you're thinking, when you start thinking like something that's fear-based or something that's negative, you need to, as soon as you hear that little voice telling you that, you need to turn it into something positive, right? You need to transmute what you're telling yourself, because that's energy too. So you need to transmute your energy through movement. Maybe if you're at work and you're having a thought about anxiety about your job security, okay, well then turn that into breath work, right? Start breathing. You could turn it into creation. Various ways that you could do this, right? Okay, so law number 7, the law of cause and effect. Okay, every action has a consequence, okay? And there is nothing that is random, okay? You have to be very honest with yourself about the energy that you put out, okay? And about how your energy is coming off to other people. This is a very hard one for people because a lot of us don't want to be self-aware enough, and a lot of us do not want to be cognizant about how we come off to other people, okay? Um People's perception of you does matter to some extent because your energy does not lie. Now, of course, there are people that can, if their energy, if like, let's just say, okay, when people believe that we're separate, right? Okay, so when people, don't believe in the law of believing that like we're all one, okay, and they still believe in separatism. All right, so what that can look like is like, people do this based off of race all the time, right? It may be someone of a different race and they have all this pent up energy towards you because they see you as different, right? They see you as they see you as different, they see you as separate from them, right? So what'll happen is actually they're the one with the bad energy because they have fear based around someone that is different from them, not realizing that we are connected. So then what'll happen is that they're trying to put that energy out onto you. and be like, oh, well, you're being mean or you're being negative and da, da, da. When in reality, it's just their own energy, right? Their own energy is just coming back to them, right? So that's what I mean by like cause and effect. Sometimes it's not even the energy that you're carrying. It's just some people try to put that energy back onto you as well. So when it comes to the law of cause and effect, this is why it's so important for you to speak and talk and think and act like the version of who's already ascended. Because then what you'll realize is that you're already in your highest form, right? And always remember that this is why the law of cause and effect is important, because every action has a consequence, okay? Not every bad action has a consequence. Every action has a consequence. The way that the world has shifted, we make consequence and bad synonymous. Consequence is not bad. You don't have to do anything bad to have a consequence. A consequence is just the aftermath of something that you did. Okay, that's very, very important for you to realize. A consequence is just something on the other end of something that you did. It does not have to be anything that you've done wrong for you to have a consequence. I absolutely hate it. That's why they say, oh, you've suffered a consequence. No, you didn't suffer a consequence. No matter what it is, if I decide that I am going to take my firearm and I'm going to, put my firearm and I'm going to let my firearm off, there, no matter what, I'm going to have there's going to be a consequence behind that, because I took an action. It may go into air, it may hit a car, it may hit a person. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, you took an action, right? You took something out. Hell, I may not even get a chance to actually use the firearm. I may trip and fall or something like that, break my ankle, and then I could not even use the firearm. Every single action that you are taking, there is going to be something on the other end of it. Doesn't have to be anything good, doesn't have to be anything bad, right? Um, and so this is also why you being the version of yourself and like being that person today that has already ascended, that's already done the work, it's easier for you to take accountability for what you're calling in, because you understand that, okay, if I'm already my highest self and if I'm already the ascended version of myself, you're not going to take consequences personally. You're just going to be like, oh, okay, this is what happened. Okay, I'm moving on. It's just what happened on the other side of the action that I took. Not that big of a deal. Because karma, I think another thing too is with karma. Karma is not punishment. Karma is not punishment. It's not. Karma is feedback. Okay. Karma is just something that is getting recycled back to you. Okay, there is no way for you to be able to avoid karma. As soon as you came in, as soon as you were reincarnated back, you already had karmic debt from the past, because essentially what happened was that your karma, you did things and you didn't learn, you weren't, when the action got recycled back to you after you did whatever action it was, you didn't learn the lesson. Okay, you didn't learn the lesson from the quote unquote consequence, okay, from the karma, right? So it happens that you die and then that karmic debt gets put onto you, and then when you're in this life, you are on the path and that karmic lesson will come back, and now it's your job to understand what that means when you have the effect that happens after what it is that you cause. Okay, so always remember that karma is not a bad thing. Consequences are not a bad thing. It's just the opposite. It's just on the other end of you taking action, right? Okay, law 8 is the law of compensation. Okay, whatever you put out is always going to come back multiplied. Okay, but once again, it's the energy behind it. Okay, that is important. It is the energy behind it. If you are a person who thinks that you're practicing the law of compensation, a lot of people think they're practicing the law of compensation when in reality they're being transactional. Transactional relationships are not the same thing as practicing the law of compensation. The law of compensation is you're going to put out whatever you put out is going to come back multiplied, but the energy behind it must be coming from a good place. If you are only doing something for someone just for them to do something for you, or if you are doing something for someone to just get in that person's good favor, you don't have any positive energy behind that, because guess what? That means that if the person does not want to reciprocate it back, or if you don't get what it is that you thought that you deserve back out of it, you're not going to be happy about giving them anything. And then guess what? You're not going to want to give them anything again, right? So you have to understand how to give things with no attachment, right? You have to be okay with having zero attachment to you doing things for people, you giving people money. If you don't want to give someone money, don't fucking give them money. If you just say, you know what, if you're telling yourself, oh, well, if I give them money because good karma is going to come to me, no. Don't even waste your time doing it. This is what happens with a lot of people, because they think that if I just do the action, I'm going to get it back. No, because you're only doing the action just because you want something back. No, you have to do it with no attachment. Your time, your energy, your presence, your creativity. If you don't actually want to do it because you want to do it, do not do it. Okay. You know, when you go to church and they want you to pay your tithes. Okay, essentially the law of compensation is essentially you energetically paying a tithe, right? So sometimes it doesn't even come anything from like your time or your energy or anything like that. It could also be something as like you sharing wisdom, you being supportive to someone, or you giving resources generously because you want to do it, right? Because the energy behind it is coming from a good place, right? Every time I get on here in front of you all, I always make sure that like energetically I'm aligned, right? This is why I don't have a content schedule. I don't have a content schedule, and I don't make a list of what I want to talk about with my content, because if I make a list of what I'm going to talk about when it comes to my content, and I just follow that schedule, energetically on the other side of that, I may not be in the mood to talk about that. And there's not going to be any energy behind what it is that I'm trying to explain to you. And trust me, I've been doing this not long, but I've been doing it long enough to understand that it reflects in how my content is being registered by the audience that is watching them, because people can feel the energy. People know if I'm talking about something that I don't want to talk about, and I'm just saying it just to post a video or to get views or to make money or anything like that. That is always reflected. So I always make sure that I only talk about stuff when I want to talk about it, and it's a specific thing that I want to talk about that day. So that's why sometimes in the emails, I'm not going to cover every single thing that someone sends me, just simply because if I don't have an energetic tie to it, it's not gonna be valuable to anybody, right? And then another thing too is to always expect overflow. Okay. Always to expect like overabundance, right? Not just enough, right? You're gonna get more than enough. Okay. Law 8 is the law of relativity. Everything is neutral. Okay. Everything is the same until you compare it to something else. Okay. You have to stop comparing yourself to other people, right? You have to stop comparing timelines, right? They're already making X amount of money and they're only 25. And I wish I would have known that when I was 40 and yada, yada, yada. It's ascension. Ascension is ascension is ascension. And it's different for everybody. It is not a race. Okay. Because the thing about it is that it goes back to the law of cause and effect. Someone could have it all at 25, and at 30 they could lose it all and never get it back and never get their footing again. And someone may not be on path until 40, and they stay on path. They never lose it. They keep it, right? So, don't get so tied into comparing timelines. It's not a race. Okay? It is not a race. Whatever issues that you have, whatever opportunities that you have, it's a time for you to really see how strong you can be spiritually, right? It's a good time for you to really see how strong you can be in your conviction for things, right? And essentially learning how to change your perspective on challenges, and understanding that you having challenges and you having to overcome obstacles, that is a part of your ascension journey. That is a part of your ascension curriculum. It's like when you take a class, they give you the syllabi, right? And the syllabi tells you for each week what it is that you are going to do. Okay, so when you were born, everyone got their life syllabi, right? What you're going to do each year, what you're going to do each month, and what problems are going to occur. That's all been given to you, okay? You can ascend the situation, right? You still have free will. You can ascend the situation. Number 10, the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite, right? Light, dark, joy, pain, ego, soul. This is why when they say, this is why like when they try to like sell you this thing of happiness, you know, as if like happiness is like in a vacuum and you're just in, it's like at the end of the rainbow and you're going to run to the end of the rainbow and you're going to have eternal happiness. That's not real, right? That's not real. Essentially, on the opposite of happiness, there's sadness, right? You don't reach happiness. You don't reach happiness because there's always going to be, there's going to be something on the opposite side of happiness, and it will be uncomfortable because everything has an opposite. So this really, what the law of polarity is that you need to integrate your shadow. Okay, this is where your shadow work starts coming in, right? Don't try to um well, it's life, I'll get over it, it's okay. Like, no, like, it is okay to not be okay. It's okay to be pissed off. It's okay to be mad as hell. It's okay for you to say, no, the shit's not okay. I'm not comfortable with this. I don't want to do this. I'm not accepting this. Right? There are parts of yourself that we all have a shadow, right? There are parts of ourselves that we've had to suppress to be able to assimilate in the real world and to be able to make other people feel comfortable. And little by little, you should be okay with letting those things come out and not being afraid to hide those things from other people. Accept your duality. You're allowed to be happy just like you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be soft just like you're allowed to be messy. Understand that duality is okay. You don't have to constantly be in this realm of just where you're always happy or you're always accepting. That's not reality, right? Essentially, when you have a contrast in your state or in your thinking or in your emotion, it will give you more clarity. Okay, use it. Don't be afraid to embrace the shadow side and the opposite side. You don't have to be happy every day, right? You don't have to be happy every day, especially when you're at the workplace. I let people know, because the thing about it is that when you're generally a happy person, people think that you're going to be happy every day. So then when people don't see you for, I don't know, fucking 5 days out of the year where you're not happy, they're like, well, what's wrong? Is everything okay? And so I just started telling people, listen, I'm not in a good mood today. There's nothing wrong with me. Don't ask what's wrong with me. I'm just not having a good day. Like, I literally let people know this. Because I would get so frustrated of people thinking that I needed to be happy 24/7, 365, as if I'm not a freaking human. Like, no, I'm gonna probably be bitchy today. So guess what? I'm telling you all what it is. If you don't want to see that side of me, then leave me alone. But I'm not in the mood today. Okay. Point blank, period. And guess what? You're allowed to not be in the mood every day. You're human. Okay. Okay. Law 11 is law of rhythm. Okay. Everything is cyclical, and especially with us as women, we're very, very cyclical. This is why it is so important for the law of polarity, right? A lot of these laws, these universal laws, they're intertwined with one another. This is why I really wanted to talk about this, because I really do feel as though the 12 universal laws is like the cheat code to having an easier life. It's the cheat code to having a more carefree life, and not holding on to things, and like really being able to ascend through life, because these laws make you feel lighter. Honestly, when you practice them and you understand them, and you really are using these daily, it's just easier to navigate through life, right? The law of rhythm is cyclical. Okay, everything moves in cycles. Your body, your energy, your success, your emotions flow with the natural rhythm. Okay, do not shame your rhythms of life where you may not be on top of your game, especially as a woman. Okay, you're not going to be 160 pounds every single day for the next 40 years of your life, right? You're not going to have a 6-figure bank account or 5-figure bank account, whatever the fuck. You're not going to have that every single day, every single year for the rest 40 years of your life. With emotions, what I said earlier, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to reach happiness and then be happy for the rest of your life. Ebbs and flows, right? Ebbs and flows. Go with the natural rhythm. Okay, if you have a moment, if you have a season of depression, okay, you have a season of depression. Do what you got to do to be able to get through that season and just flow naturally with the rhythm. Everything is going to go back as long as you do what you got to do. You get your mind right and you just trust the universe that it's a phase, right? And even with us cyclically, like our menstrual cycle is based off of the moon phase, right? So that's another thing that you can do as a woman. You can align your actions with the moon phases or with your menstrual cycle, especially if like you want to like get crazy into spell work. You can even look it up, okay? There are spells and things that you can do like on a full moon. You can get even crazier if you do it like a full moon while you're also on your menstrual cycle, and you could sync it up and time it up with that. Cycle syncing, right? That's essentially what like that's like a form of the law of rhythm, cycle syncing, right? When you're ovulating, that's probably when you're going to go the hardest in the gym. That's when you're going to get the most work done. That's when you're going to be the most productive. Whereas your luteal phase, you're probably just going to do yoga that week. You're probably going to, take a break. You're probably going to be in your bed more. You're probably just going to want to relax more, right? Understanding that you have life as a rhythm. It's okay. You don't have to be on go. You don't have to be on every single day, right? Use your downtime for inner work and to recalibrate your energy, right? Goddesses rest, okay? In order for you to stay divine, in order for you to stay energetically high, you need your rest, okay? Embrace a rhythm of rest, okay? And then for the last one, is the law of gender, okay? Masculine and feminine energies exist in everything, okay? In everything. There is no such thing as women being 100% feminine and men being 100% masculine. That is not true, okay? Masculine and feminine energies exist in all things, in every single thing, okay? Even the physical things that we see, like your iPhone. Okay, your iPhone is man-made, but there's feminine in there because they mine cobalt, okay? They mine cobalt from the Congo and put it in the phone. There is nothing physical even in the world that doesn't have the feminine and the masculine in it. A lot of these physical objects are man-made with feminine materials, okay? Because anything that exists in nature naturally is feminine. Every single thing that exists in nature naturally is feminine. So understanding to tap into both your structure, because the structure is the masculine, right? Your structure, your discipline, your grit, those are all things within the masculine. And then within your feminine, you want to be able to embrace things such as intuition. You know what I mean? So do shadow work around the wounding that you may have in both energies, right? And also try to learn how to balance and harmonize the scale between giving and receiving, right? Because receiving is feminine, giving is masculine, being is feminine, doing is masculine. Understanding when to honor yourself and when to honor your body, to know, when am I going to give? When should I sit back and receive? When am I going to do? And then when am I going to be? Ascension happens when you learn to embody the queen in you and the king in you, right? You have to know how to have that sweet spot of doing both. So listen to your body and really, really listen to what it's telling you. If your body's telling you, listen, we don't want to do anything. We want to chill out. We want to chill. Girl, chill. You know what I mean? Some people judge me because I am not a naturally giving person, but I only want to give if I feel it in my heart and not be seen as a good person. You're doing it right. That's how you're supposed to do it. You're doing it right. That's what you're supposed to do. You should only want to give because you truly want to give. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to, that means that it would be transactional. If you only gave to people because you wanted to be seen as a good person, that means that that's transactional and you're wasting your time doing that. So no, if they want to judge you because of that, okay, cool. They're going to be giving out all of their energy for free. They're not going to get anything reciprocated from the universe. They're not going to get anything in return. If it's not coming from a good place, if it's not coming from a genuine place, I don't want it. Okay, I don't want it, because the thing about it is that action is not enough. Okay, action is not enough. Because the thing about it is that you don't know what energy is attached to what someone's doing for you, or what a gift gave you. You know what I mean? No one, you don't know what's attached behind that. Someone could get you a nice elaborate gift, and the energy behind that is, you know what? Well, she better. I spent all this money for her birthday. She better spend 2 times as many things for my birthday. I don't want to receive a gift from someone that has that mindset. I don't want that. No, you can keep it. Like I've literally have known when people are supporting me because they want the support back, as opposed to just supporting because they actually see value in what I'm doing. Okay, because they actually feel as though what I'm contributing is going to be helpful to other people. Right? That's the difference. You don't need anything, or you don't need to receive anything or give anybody anything when the energy behind it isn't going to be good. It's not going to be pure. That's a problem I have with tithing in church. I feel like a guilt trip. Yes, because if you look in church, I remember I was young and I thought the idea of tithing was stupid. I thought it was so stupid because I I didn't like the church at a very young age. I just didn't like it. And so I remember, like, they would always want to pass around the collection plate after people are in like an emotionally disruptive state. So like when people are like crying and they done fainted and they done, did all the little tongue stuff or whatever, that's when they want to start handing around the collection plate. And I'm like, well, that's mildly convenient. That's mildly convenient. You done made everyone hoot and holler and made the congregation go crazy. And now you're going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, give us some money now that I have you in an emotionally vulnerable state. You know what I'm saying? So, no, I 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. Right? So here are some like rituals. Okay. Here are some rituals that I like to use that you can do on a daily basis. So you can either start your day or you can end your day with some type of like frequency sound. So you can find them on YouTube. They're everywhere. And you could pick whatever frequency you want. You could Google it. Okay. You can Google like 432 frequency, 963 frequency. Usually they're in relation with a chakra. So whatever chakra you may need work on or that you're trying to heal, you can sleep to or get ready to whatever frequency you want that you feel as though is going to be what's the word that I'm looking for, helpful to you. Okay. And then I do like to ask myself, like, okay, like what law do I need to embody today? Or even if I can't think of it that day, maybe a situation comes up, right? Like I'm back taking pole classes, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm back taking pole classes. And so, a lot of the time, when I'm at pole classing, I have to be very mindful when it comes to the law of relativity. You know what I mean? Because it can be very easy to compare yourself, especially if like, someone there's a skill that you're doing and like you wish you could do it. And especially with me having pole experience and then with me walking away from it and then returning back to pole experience, yeah, like it's a little hit on my ego or whatever. Like there were girls that were doing the Aisha today. And like, I just had to remind myself, like, don't compare yourself. You were able to do the Aisha back when you were, doing pole dancing before. You can't do it now, but you'll be able to do it again. It's going to be okay. So just if you don't journal it, just being reflective, like with the loss, to just kind of like restructure your thinking and kind of like put yourself in check energetically, essentially, right? And then another thing is moving your body with intention, right? And this could be in any form, right? You walking, you doing some type of yoga, you doing some type of breath work, going to the gym. It didn't have to be anything crazy, right? And then also you speaking affirmation. So I have like for like my main goal, okay, for my main life goal, I have like a large, I guess you could call it like a manifesto, really, because it's very long. I wouldn't really call it like I really wouldn't call it affirmations, but you could do affirmations or create a manifesto for yourself that essentially will reflect the energy that you want to be, okay, that you want to be and that you're embodying who you are, right? And then obviously meditating didn't have to be long. You can meditate for like 5 minutes. Usually I just do like 5 to 10 minutes at work. The longer sessions I like to have just on the weekend because I have more time, you know what I mean, to do it. But you can meditate on, clarity. You can meditate on getting higher guidance, whatever direction it is that you're trying to go for your own personal life. And then you just taking one small aligned action daily, okay? Even if it's like you need to declutter your space, or maybe you're hiding your shadow self at work, right? So maybe you're hiding the fact that you don't agree with something that they're doing at work, or you don't like the idea that your boss has. Okay, well then send a bold email, right? Send a bold email that you're stating like, hey, I don't feel like what I'm seeing is aligning with the company's morals and values, et cetera, et cetera. Just taking one small aligned action, you know what I mean? So yeah, that is everything for the 12 universal laws. Hopefully you all enjoyed this. Like I said before, I really feel as though understanding and kind of practicing the 12 universal laws, it's very, very helpful. I feel like implementing them and understanding them, it's going to make a large difference in your life and just kind of your overall view of life. And I feel as though energetically, it's going to make you a lot lighter. Okay. You won't feel the load from so many things. I think the biggest thing with life is that no matter what, like, things are going to happen to you in life. You can't prevent that. There's nothing that you could do about it. But I feel as though when you're more spiritually grounded and you understand how the universe works as opposed to how the physical world works, you don't take things as personal. You don't see yourself as a victim. You don't take things not going your way as an attack. You kind of just let things kind of roll off your shoulders more, and you're just able to be more free, and you're able to be more trusting to know. Okay, sorry. You have to be more. You'll be more trusting to know that everything is going to be okay. All right, and that you'll be able to get through whatever season it is that you are currently in. So yeah, yes, walk for 6 miles today around the city and feel amazing. Today got me out of my oppression, out of my depression. I love that. I'm happy for you. Yes, and 6 miles is impressive. Nice. I just got a new yoga mat and some resistance bands. I was like, time to get better, and I eat a lot of fruit now. Yes, good for you. I love that. I love that. But yeah, y'all, that is it for today. I really hope you all enjoyed this, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I don't know what I'm gonna do next on here, honestly. I don't know. Maybe I'll make something again. Maybe I'll make like some Florida water, or like some Van oil or something like that, or some rose oil. I don't know. Maybe I'll make something again, or like a mojo. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I will talk to you all next time. I hope you all have a great weekend. Bye.